Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the best Pokemon to build for 2026 for the Open Mouse League. We already took a look at the Open Great League as well as the Open Ultra League on this channel for 10 Pokemon that you should build. They are very likely going to stay top meta for the entire year, where I can't see that they're going to get nerfed to the point that you don't want to use them. And today is going to be the same video here for the Mouse League. So again, if you want to see another episode for this one for the Great League again with 10 different Pokemon that I think are going to be very much worth building, then feel free to leave a like here on the video as well as following the channel. If we get up to 250 likes, I will make another video for the Open Great League. So yeah, do that, and let's take a look here at Pokemon number 1 that you want to build for the Open Mouse League. Not too surprising. This is the main Pokemon that you want to have. If you can get this Pokemon, build this Pokemon. Trade for this Pokemon. Get this Pokemon somehow, because Zacian Crowned form is absolutely broken. And I do think this Pokemon is going to get nerfed. And still, I will say, I would recommend you to build this Pokemon. Why? Because it's going to be currently, and this is like PvP, doesn't really matter for this one, it's one of the best Pokemon for raids, if not the best Pokemon for raids, as well as going to be one of the best Pokemon for Dynamax raids. So like you have for two of the other aspects of the game, this Pokemon as the number 1 spot and currently for the Mouse League. And even when this Pokemon going to get nerfed, it is going to still stay absolutely broken. What we see here as well, that we have stats that, as we see as well from PvPoke, with a CP of 5600, you're rivaling Mega Evolution stats, which you shouldn't do as a normal Pokemon. You have the best type in the game. You have already pretty bad moves, to be fair. Like, if you take a look at the moves, they're not that great. Like, neither Behemoth Blade... Okay, Close Combat is good coverage, don't get me wrong. But Behemoth Blade for 55 energy, doing basically 100 damage, like here 120 because of the stab damage, isn't really that great. Play Rough is not the strongest move ever, but Metal Claw is a really bad fast move, which I do think they're going to most likely try to nerf Metal Claw in the future as well. But basically, this Pokemon, no matter what they're going to do with it, because of the typing that you have 2 weaknesses and like basically everything else you're going to resist. It's the most broken type in the game. You're always going to have play with this Pokemon. Here are some suggested teammates for this one. A lot of them going to be in today's video as well here. And yeah, honestly, Zacian is a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. Build this Pokemon if you haven't done this yet. It's the one Pokemon I would focus the most currently for the Mouse League. And here, we're going to take a look at a Pokemon that basically only has play because of Zacian, which is going to be Ho-Oh. Because Zacian is absolutely everywhere. Ho-Oh, which is only ranked 19, has way more play than you would expect. Ho-Oh recently only had the Dynamax raid day, which was kind of nice for you as well. Maybe you got like a good one for that and you're wondering if I should build it or not. You should absolutely build it. And as you see as well from the editor score from PvPoke, Ho-Oh is a vital anti-meta presence to combat the Zacian and other Steel and Fairy type Pokemon. And this is the main reason why this Pokemon is so broken. It is one of the strongest Pokemon currently in the meta, absolutely. I do feel like, by the way, personally, that the non-shadow is better than the shadow one. So for yourself, I would rather go for the non-shadow version to build. We see at the moveset as well, you want to have access to interesting moves, to be fair. Like Solar Beam can have sometimes some play, but generally speaking, you will see most of the times Brave Bird and Sacred Fire, which is a very good move combination as well, together with, of course, Incinerate as a fast move, which is by far the strongest move that you can go for on this Pokemon. For the fast move, yeah, there's no real doubt about it. Incinerate is exactly what you want to have. But for the charge moves, in theory, you can also go for Earthquake as like coverage, which can be kind of cool. But yeah, honestly, Ho-Oh is absolutely worth it. We have weaknesses, 3 of them: Water, Electric, and Rock. Rock isn't that common anymore after the nerf of Rhyperior. Rhyperior was like one of the better answers, but Rhyperior kind of got significantly nerfed recently. And then we have Electric. You have a Zekrom, which is, by the way, not on the list here, but that's kind of the only Electric type Pokemon there. And then we have Water. There are a few more. There are some on the list here as well. But yeah, basically Water is the main weakness that you have with this Pokemon, but you're still going to be able to land like neutral hits against those as well with a Brave Bird, which does a ton of damage. So basically Ho is absolutely busted. And here's some Pokemon that you kind of want to play it with. There's like the OG team of Ho-Oh Double Dragon with Dialga as a Seisob and a different dragon in the back. You can actually still play that this day as well. This has been around basically since season 1 of the Go Battle League, but it's still very, very strong. And here's one of the Pokemon that can answer Ho-Oh. This is one of the most overpowered Pokemon as well. And after the Zacian, basically, this is the next Pokemon that you want to build. Palkia Origin Form. You have to trade for the Spatial Rent. Spatial Rent is not guaranteed on this Pokemon, and you cannot get it through Elite TMs, which is very sad because I actually got a Shundo from a raid for this Pokemon, my only Shundo that I ever got from a raid, and it doesn't have the right move, which is of course fantastic. But basically, Palkia actually does even work if you don't have the move, because Spatial Rent recently got nerfed, which you can see here as well. It's now 55 energy, which it was 50 energy prior. But basically, Dragon Breath, Dragon Tail do the exact same. So like even if one of them gets nerfed, like the other one is going to just join, like slot in for them. Like you usually want to run Dragon Breath, but even if Dragon Breath somehow gets nerfed, you still have Dragon Tail for it. You have Awkward Tail, one of the strongest, like best water type moves to kind of run, because it's very cheap with 35 energy, which allows you to hit Pokemon like that hole for super effective damage. And you have Fire Blast as coverage moves, which can help you out as well in order to deal with Pokemon like the Zacian. You're going to be able to one-shot Zacian with a Fire Blast on this Pokemon. So like you have even some coverage potential as well with this Pokemon. And you see here, very nice neutral typing, 2 weaknesses, 3 resistances, 2 of them double resistance with water and fire. But generally speaking, it's very neutral in terms of the typing. And here's the one thing that is very important with it. It is the partner in crime for Zacian. Zacian and Palkia together do not have a weakness. They're canceling each other's weaknesses out perfectly. We're going to take a look here. Weaknesses Dragon and Fairy, which is going to be something that you're going to be able to resist both with the Zacian. You actually triple resist the Dragon and double, just single resist the Fairy type damage, but both of which is going to be resisted by Zacian. And Zacian is weak to only ground and fire type Pokemon, which you're going to be able to hit with a water type damage. So at the end of the day, you even double resist fire type damage here as well with the Palkia. You kind of have a perfect core here. This is the most broken core in the Master League, and I can't see this one going anywhere anytime soon. So next up, we have the only Pokemon on the list here that is not a legendary Pokemon. Primarina was on the list for some point as well, but I felt like it is not as great anymore in the current meta than it was prior. But yeah, we're going to take a look here at Metagross. Metagross is by far the best non-legendary Pokemon, and ranked at number 3 with Shadow Claw, Meteor Mesh, as well as Earthquake. It got buffed so many times recently that just is such a different Pokemon now. Shadow Claw gives it very nice flexibility, and you see it here as well in terms of the performance chart. You're going to have it being good in basically everything. Charging, being a good switch, being a good attacker, doing a lot of damage with that, being consistent, being a good closer, being a good lead. You can do everything with this Pokemon. You can fit it in nearly everywhere, and you have great coverage with the Shadow Claw as well. If you want to, like, if Shadow Claw eventually gets nerfed, which is never going to be happening, you're going to have Bullet Punch still, which is going to be very solid as well, because it does way more damage, but doesn't generate energy as fast. But still, it's going to be great, because look at this. Meteor Mesh is now a 120 damage move for 45 energy on this Pokemon. It's usually 100, but of course, it's a stat bonus on top of it, which means you have a super hard-hitting move that you only need 6 fast moves for in order to get to. And then you have Earthquake still as a coverage move, which allows you to hit certain Pokemon like other Steel-type Pokemon for super effective damage, which is fantastic, or even Fire-type Pokemon for super effective damage, unless it's Ho-Oh. So, like, yeah, this Pokemon is fantastic. Like, this Pokemon is super, super strong. Would absolutely recommend you to build Metagross if you haven't done that yet. And again, even for outside of this, you're going to have the option to go for a Dynamax one if you have that one. And then you're going to have also the option to go to Mega Evolve this Pokemon afterwards as well, which makes it one of the strongest Pokemon just generally in Pokemon GO right now. Next up, we're going to see here the weaknesses and the resistances, and you see already we're going to have only 4 weaknesses with Dark Fire, Ghost, and Ground, and then we're going to have so many resistances and 2 double resistances and Poison and Psychic, which just kind of showcasing again on how nice defensively this Pokemon is as well. And here's just the teammates Palkia, Kyurem, of course, like the Strength type Pokemon where you can counter the Fairy types and they can counter basically the Fire type Pokemon for you, which is kind of how this team works. Lunala is going to be next. Lunala is a very interesting Pokemon. It's definitely never going to get nerfed anytime soon. Lunala is going to be a Pokemon that has access to Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, and Moonblast. Why is this Pokemon so interesting? Because in the current meta, there is only really one Dark type around, which is Yveltal, which is mostly the biggest weakness of this Pokemon. But with this, you basically, as there's also 0 normal type Pokemon, you're going to have a Pokemon here that is just super neutral. You can be absolutely neutral. It's the best face-up and the best lead, in my opinion, currently in the meta is Lunala, because you can have play against every single Pokemon. It has fantastic stats, as you can see here as well, like absolutely fantastic stats. And you're going to be, here it says it's volatile because you have 2 double weaknesses, which are going to be Ghost and Dark type moves. But like generally speaking, Lunala is a fantastic Pokemon, very safe Pokemon to run. And with the recent buff to Shadow Ball here, It's even stronger. Moonblast is just a good coverage move in order to deal with the Dark-type Pokemon. And so, generally speaking, it's one of the safest Pokemon to run with the current moveset. And I do think it's going to stay like this as well. Like, it's not going to get nerfed anytime soon. And I feel like this Pokemon is fantastic right now. I would recommend you to build one for sure. Here are the resistances and weaknesses. The only issue with this one, the resistances are quite irrelevant. There's basically 0 fighting, normal, poison, or psychic-type moves in the current meta. So, like, that's kind of a bit of an issue. Like, the resistances don't really come in play at all. The weaknesses, though, on the other hand, don't often come in play as well. So, like, it's kind of fine. Here's some suggested teammates. At the end of the day, you are very, very nice and neutral, so it doesn't really matter what you're playing with, as there's nothing that really completely destroys you here. Other than Yveltal. And Yveltal is mainly in here as well because it got a buff recently. Without the buff, it would have never been in here. But it actually got a buff with Oblivion Wing, which is now guaranteed boosting your own defense up. And it changes quite a bit for the team, for this Pokemon, because it's now going to be way, way stronger. Look here, Oblivion Ring, 100% chance of boosting your own defense up. I tried this Pokemon myself and I was impressed on how strong it was. The type itself isn't that great. Like, of course, you have some double resistance here as well, which is kind of cool. But, like, again, most of the types are not really that commonly used, other than, like, Ghost, which you see something here with Lunala. By the way, for Lunala as well, there's the the Dawn Wings Necrozma, which is doing similar things than the Lunala. Lunala is stronger though, that's why it's in here. But if you don't have the Lunala itself, you can also go for the Dawn Wings Necrozma, which is very similar. Just as information towards it. But anyway, Yveltal here, the type itself isn't that great. Fairy type weakness, of course, is going to be very awkward. And you're getting completely hardwalled by Zacian, which is one of the biggest issues for this Pokemon. So yeah, here Zacian itself is your best kind of teammate, which is kind of funny, but you actually can cover up the weakness of Zacian of ground at least, which is going to be kind of fine. So yeah, Yveltal is, I think, a very cool Pokemon. And by the way, those videos here as well is trying to cover up a lot of different kind of aspects of Pokemon. And here, this is kind of the dark flying type Pokemon. You don't really have anything comparable to this thing. So I feel like it's definitely worth building this Pokemon. Xerneas is going to be next. This thing itself, of course, is going to be the partner of the Yveltal. And they actually kind of doing quite well together. Again, both of them are going to be weak to Zacian. Here, this one's also going to be very weak to Ho-Oh, but it got buffed recently, as we see here as well. The Geomancy is doing more damage now, and this actually changes quite a bit. I tried this Pokemon out already. It helps you out to farm down Dragon-type Pokemon, and it actually does make quite a big difference here for this thing. So I would definitely recommend you to give it a try. The type itself is just very nice neutral. It's very good against like Dragon-type Pokemon. There are quite a lot of them, like the Palkia, for example, which is one of your best Pokemon to deal with. But you kind of need to have some coverage for the, for the Zacian, which we're going to talk about as well here in a bit. And here's Kyurem. Kyurem White. A White and Kyurem Black, both of which kind of got, I don't know, with the release of Xerneas and like the buff on Xerneas, as well as the release of Zacian, both Kyurem White and Kyurem Black kind of lost a lot of play. They were absolutely top meta prior, neither of which are going to be like that super common anymore. They're still very strong. And as you guys see as well, in the editor score, that both Black and White Kyurem kind of dropped in terms of usage. But Kyurem White is generally the less flexible of the two. Why do I have Kyurem White in here? Because it is stronger to basically battle the core of Zacian as well as Palkia. You have coverage for both of them on this Pokemon, which you don't have directly with your Kyurem Black. Kyurem Black is still very strong, don't get me wrong. But I do think that the Kyurem White, because of the fire-type coverage in the current meta, and I can't see that Zacian goes anywhere, is going to be generally stronger. And here's the moveset as well. Fusion Flare is just the main reason why this Pokemon is here over the Kyurem Black. Kyurem Black itself has with Shadow Claw interesting coverage, which I like a little bit more than Dragon Breath. But yeah, basically, I do think that this Pokemon has, thanks to Fusion Flare, a little bit better coverage for the current meta. And this is the main reason why it's here. It is actually a really bad typing. Like, you have quite a lot of weaknesses here, 5 different weaknesses and only 3 resistances. And all 3 resistances are not that important. Water is like kind of the most important one of those 3. But like, you have way more weaknesses than like what it helps. So like, the type is quite bad right now. The stats are of course fantastic. And here's some suggested teammates with it. I think with Metagross, it's kind of the best kind of core together with Metagross. But let's move on to the next Pokemon, which is going to be Reshiram. Reshiram is here over Zekrom, basically because of the exact same reason that we just had. It's the coverage. And Reshiram recently is rising up as a meta Pokemon. And the moveset here that's suggested with Draco Media is not actually always going to be the best moveset. What is currently more common actually on this Pokemon, that has also fantastic CP as we see here with 4565, is the Stone Edge. Stone Edge is going to allow you to hit the Ho-Oh for super effective damage, one-shotting this Pokemon, which otherwise you're not going to be able to do. Otherwise, Draco Media is going to be the hardest hitting move for sure, but it's going to drop your own attack by 2 stages. What also you can run is Crunch. Crunch is going to be just more neutral in scenarios against the Palkia, which is going to be kind of nice as well, just because you're going to get there a bit faster. So, as you see here, Dragon Ground and Rock as weaknesses, not too common types other than, of course, Dragon Breath is going to be still there. But the main reason here why it's here is because you're going to be able to beat the Zacian. And this is one of the most important things, to beat Zacian as well as Ho-Oh, and you still have neutral play against the opponent's Palkia, which this is very unique in what Reshiram can do. Not a lot of other Pokemon can do what Reshiram can do here. And so I think it's one of the best currently underrated anti-meta Pokemon that you can run. Reshiram is absolutely worth it in the current meta. Here's some suggested teammates. And the final Pokemon for today is going to be Kyogre. This thing is also underrated and it's not really rated high. Rank 23 is generally rated high, but like not in the Master League. In the Master League, it's only like the first few that are really dominant, and this Pokemon is still in this video for a good reason, and it's actually even in the editor's score there as well. Kyogre has historically been rated poorly in Sims, especially as Power Creep has overtaken it basically. But the main reason why this Pokemon is still so important is because the role plays against Ho-Oh and ground type Pokemon. So basically, you have here a triangle. You have the top meta, which is Zacian and the Palkia, basically. Then you have Pokemon to counter either of them, which is mainly Pokemon like the Ho-Oh, for example. You're gonna see here, you see some ground type Pokemon in order to counter the Zacian. And then you have counters for the counters, and this is where Kyogre comes in clutch. And here's the thing as well, you see it in the key wins, there's Zacian ground form as well. And this is the thing here for Kyogre, it is quite a solid neutral Pokemon in a lot of cases. It is good in order to cover the Zacian's weaknesses, but it's also good in covering Zacian itself. It only has Waterfall as the only fast move. It runs usually Avalanche currently over Surf, which is interesting, but both of them do kind of similar damage. I actually do like Surf in certain scenarios against Pokemon like the Zacian, but Avalanche gives you better coverage against those, what's called Dragon type Pokemon, which makes a lot of sense. And then Origin Pulse for the high damage output, which makes a lot of sense as well. Here is the weaknesses. It's again here, Water type itself isn't the greatest in this current meta. You have weaknesses against Electric and Grass. It's very, very, very neutral type there. But of course, you don't really do a lot of damage against the Dragon type Pokemon outside of the Avalanche, and that's why Avalanche is kind of important. And here are some suggested teammates. Not too surprising that we're going to see something like the Zacian here as well, because we are going to be able to cover up against the Ho-Oh, against the ground type Pokemon, and this is why Kyogre is here. And that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video. And again, 250 likes, and I'm going to make another video for the Great League, where we're going to take a look at 10 or more Pokemon that I think are safe to build, that you're definitely going to want to have at least for 2026. See you then. Bye-bye.